Last week, 9 touchdown picks were cashed. And today, I've got at least 1 touchdown in every single game for you. And we're going to build a parlay. Because why not us? No time to waste. Let's get paid. All right. Quick review of the video format. Left side of the screen, Novig Sportsbook. We'll use this for touchdowns. Right side of the screen, my betting tools website, mysparryedge.com. We're going to use that too. Oh, and really quick, I'm down here in the corner. I figured I'd put myself down here so you don't have to worry about your significant other seeing me. Okay, sorry. Let's get to work. First up, let's talk Ravens because, yes, Derrick Henry for a touchdown. Everybody under the sun is going to be playing Derrick Henry to score. But let's talk about more for Derrick Henry's player props, too. The Ravens had an epic loss against my Buffalo Bills in week 1. They're going to be out for blood at home against the Brownies. In 13 wins last season with Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry had 100-plus yards in 10 of the 13. He scored a touchdown in 9 of the 13, 2-plus in 4 of the 13. I think you could run him out there for 100-plus yards and a touchdown, 110, 120 yards and a touchdown, 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. I just think it's going to be a bloodbath. Give me King Henry all the touchdowns. First team touchdown, first half touchdown. Play them how you want. My man's going to score. Now, this next one, I'm going to highlight something really unique. On the left side of the screen, you can see mysparryedge.com showing you the odds for Jamar Chase's touchdown. This is game number 2. Jags on the road against the Bengals. And for a lot of these picks that I make today, if you disagree, you have an opportunity to make money on Novig. And check it out. They let you bet the under for touchdowns. So if some of these juiced picks are just not your cup of tea and you want to fade me, well, then put your money where your mouth is. You can bang home unders all day at plus odds exclusively on Novig. You could try them out. Code DONUTS, DONUTS. I'm also going to build a parlay today. It's a 4-leg touchdown parlay and give you the link for the parlay itself in the comment section. Who loves you, baby? Do me a favor, drop a like if you appreciate the link to the slip. That's all. Let's get back to work. What can Chase do for you? Chase Brown, Jamar Chase, run them both, run one, run none, take the unders. That's up to you. For me, I'm back on Jamar Chase. I think he goes nuclear in week 2. He is the wide receiver version of how I feel about King Henry this week. You know, the Bengals were on struggle bus in week 1. Offensive line concerns do not look like they were fixed from a season ago, as Burrow just didn't have time to pass or look down the field. And we ended up seeing Jamar Chase with just 5 targets. That's the lowest he's had in over a year and a half of football. So I think this is the get right spot. Joe Burrow already came out and said, hey, we got to be more aggressive. Okay. Who's going to be the guy he throws to when he's trying to be more aggressive? T. Higgins could get a shot down the field, but it's absolutely going to be the guy that just led the NFL in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns. 1,700-plus yards, 17 touchdowns last year. And Jamar Chase gets 2 catches for 26 on his lowest target total, 5 in 2 seasons. Yeah, they're going to feed the guy. I expect him to go bonkers. I could see a touchdown early, maybe even 2. I love this play. Next game, Seattle and the Steelers. Here's an interesting one. I think we can make a little bit of quiche here. Now, you know I'm never afraid of taking these plus odds plays because we cashed out like 5 of them last week, including Justin Fields for plus 220, J.K. Dobbins plus 160. And this week, scared money don't make money. Nothing's changed. I think DK Metcalf is getting paid this week against his former club, the Seattle Seahawks. But you know who else is a sneaky play for me? Jonnu Smith, who had a touchdown in week 1. Who had multiple targets inside the 20, including one inside the 10 from Aaron Rodgers. We've seen Rodgers be able to support a tight end through a very good season before. This is not like it's something new. He had 6 targets, I believe 5 catches in week 1 as well, 15 yards, 5 for 15. It was a lot of third downs and, again, a couple of red zone opportunities. And he's down here at plus 310. So I just want to highlight the fact that these 2 plays are going to be longer odds, and you get a lower implied probability that they score. I'm not looking to parlay them. I just kind of want to highlight their names. I like them both this week. I think they're really interesting. Funny enough, Jaylen Warren ended up getting 4 red zone targets last week, 3 carries and a pass out of the backfield. He did look like he was going to get the lion's share of the opportunities. Snap share was in his favor. He's a plus 131. If you think the Steelers can take the cake here, I think one of these 3 is going to score. And if we can get 2 of them to score, you're guaranteeing profit if you play them each. I won't be doing that, though. None of them made my official top 4 plays, but I am here to choose at least one touchdown for every single game. My Buffalo Bills on the road against the Jets after a historic Week 1 comeback win against the Baltimore Ravens. And I tell you what, my friends, I am concerned about this game. An emotional win for the Buffalo Bills on prime time. And then, now they're traveling to MetLife into New York against a divisional rival who has not been very good lately, but have always played the Bills tough. And we saw Justin Fields in this offense put up 32 points against the Steelers. Now, I don't know how good the Steelers defense is, but the Jets do have some playmakers. And Justin Fields ran for 1,000 yards and 8 tutties in his second season as a starter for the Bears. And I think that's what we're going to get from the Jets this year. Those dual threat quarterbacks can be a problem. Last week, we banged home a touchdown prop for Justin Fields. And I think you could look at it again at plus 149. Ain't nothing wrong with it. He had 2 touchdowns. I only played him for 1, plus 223, I think it was. But there's value here for Justin Fields at plus 150. I think if you're running out somebody here for the Buffalo Bills, it's kind of hard to ignore the fact that James Cook scored again last week after running in 16 touchdowns last season. Josh Allen, double-digit touchdowns last year, had 2 touchdowns in week 1. I think there's a touchdown parlay to be made here somewhere. I don't entirely know how to do it yet, but I think that these are the clear-cut targets. Now, what else could we look at in this game? Well, the problem is throwing wise, I never know who Josh Allen's going to throw to. And on the other side, Justin Fields, his passing touchdown prop last week was at 0.5. He was the top play, I believe, on our projections. We had him at 0.87 or something touchdown passes, and he had a bet grade of an 87. Well, he threw 1 touchdown. And I think that we potentially get that again this week. His market is at a half of a touchdown. If he's ever at 1.5, the under's the play. If he's at a half, the over's the play. It's going to be juiced in either direction. That being said, who are the players that could catch that pass? I think they're pretty much just going to be Breece Hall out of the backfield or Garrett Wilson getting down the field. The Bills' secondary is slow. They are. Specifically the safeties. They've been beaten over the top left and right in bad games on national TV, on prime time, in local markets. It doesn't matter. They just get beat. Garrett Wilson can get over the top. That's an interesting play, plus 200. Well, my favorite play from this game is going to be James Cook. Again, if you disagree, plus odds to play the under. Your call. Next up, well, we already covered the Cleveland Browns on the road against the Ravens. King Henry all day. We covered the Jags and the Bengals. Beautiful. Ooh, I love this one. Patriots and Dolphins. I got a sneaky one for you, backed up by copious amounts of data. That's your word of the day, my friends. Copious. You're welcome. And real quick, before I continue, I just want to say thank you. I said this in yesterday's video, and it's mind-boggling. I honestly can't wrap my head around it. The YouTube views, the likes, the comments, the subscriptions to YouTube. I never could have fathomed what has been happening over this past week. I've been doing this since 2018. People were joking about it yesterday. I started in my car, podcasting in my car because it was the best sound booth. Then I moved into a closet and a pantry. I went to a basement. Now I'm in an office, and it's been a long journey. This is my 8th year. So to see what I've seen happen on my YouTube for this past week has been humbling. It's been pretty unreal. So thank you very much for that. Thanks for the likes, the comments, the subs, and all that. But honestly, just thank you for watching. I hope that my channel will always be, at the very least, informational and entertaining. You ain't watching to see a beautiful face. I know my role. I'm going to stay in my lane and try to help you out. Back to the betting, my friends. Back to the betting. Patriots on the road against the Dolphins. Dolphins looked pathetic in week 1. But listen, time in and time out, we see a lot of things happen in week 1 that never reoccur the rest of the season. I don't think the Dolphins are going to be any good, but I do think there's a lot of value here in Devon Achane at minus 121 to score a touchdown. Hear me out. In the past 12-game sample size, when Tua is under center and Devon Achane's in the backfield, Achane has scored in 10 of those 12 games. Yeah, you heard me right. 10 of the 12 games he has scored a touchdown in. Now, some of the games are like yesterday. Shouldn't say yesterday. Some of the games are like last week, where he scores a meaningless touchdown in garbage time. And you know what? I don't care. A touchdown is a touchdown. It's going to pay my bet out no matter what. Here's a little sneak preview. That 4-pick touchdown parlay I'm going to give you down below, that touchdowns list for my favorites, I'm also going to give you down below, Devon Achane's on those lists. He's one of my favorites this week. And I'm not kidding, my friends. Novig is amazing for all player props. The fact that it's legal in over 40 states to allow you all to play straight picks, not have to do it in weird ways, you can't beat it. You got to try out Novig. Use code DONUTS if you do, DONUTS. And we can play these types of plays together like this one. The Lions at home against the Bears. Dan Campbell off a loss for the Lions, 10-0 against the spread. The Bears were plus 5.5 to start, and the Lions have since moved. Now they are minus 6.5. I still don't mind it. This is a statement game, just like the Ravens. And when we get those statement games, my friends, we get an opportunity to hammer touchdowns because that means the team has scored some serious points. Now, Jahmyr Gibbs to score a touchdown, his probability for this game is much higher than everybody else. I totally agree with it, and that's why his odds are juiced like this. I have woken up this morning, had a little bit of coffee, and I'm starting to see a little bit of value in two other players this week. It's David Montgomery at plus 105. I find interesting. For a guy that had such a crucial role inside the red zone last year, I think he's a great option. Now, he's not even going to be on the graphic I make and I giving away at the end of the video because I'm adding him on the fly as I'm getting those gut feels, the tummy tingles. I talked about this in Friday's video, the one player prop for every game video. Yeah, you got to check that out too. But I'm not somebody who relies 1000% just on math. I'm sorry. I think there's a little bit of intuition you got to listen to. Those gut feels, that's your intuition when it comes to betting. Now, I predominantly lean on the math and the data and the metrics, but I'm not ignorant or naive and blind to the fact that there is a place for that intuition. And I just got a feeling Monty's got a tutty coming this week. Another interesting spot down here is Jameson Williams. We all know he can get over the top of anybody in any given moment. They find ways to give him the ball in really creative ways. He gets carries here and there. I'm interested a little bit at Jameson Williams plus 214. No one's talking about that either. Yes, of course, Jahmyr Gibbs is on my top 10 list for the week, but that's baked into his odds at minus 170. So if I sat here and just went through and said Derrick Henry, minus 200, Jahmyr Gibbs, minus 170, what takeaway do you have? Now, is he somebody I want to use? Absolutely. He's parlay worthy. We'll run him in our parlay later. But I don't think that that's the type of content you're looking for. I'll make them in a parlay. Otherwise, let's look at some of the better plays. I hope that makes sense. I did that on the fly. I wasn't prepared to talk about it. It might have been a little bit verbose. Another great word. Oh my goodness. I'm a walking dictionary. Said nobody ever. And next up, Niners and Saints. Oh, I did this to myself. I told you I was going to have a touchdown pick for every single game. My bad, me. That means I have to make a pick for this game. Hear me out, though. No Brock Purdy, no George Kittle. It's CMC or bust. He had 8 red zone carries in week 1. He had 3 red zone pass targets in week 1. 11 red zone touches and opportunities, the most in the NFL. And he got 0 touchdowns last week. You know who's second? Jonathan Taylor with 8. He also had 0. We're going to talk about him in a minute. Stay tuned. So for me, I'm not going to overthink it. It's Christian McCaffrey for an anytime touchdown or nobody's scoring. Be ready for a 3-0 game. All jokes aside, CMC highest chance for it. The odds show that. Likely only going to be parlay worthy for you. Let's move on. Oh, before we move on, let me show you this really quick. This is my DFS and Donuts marketplace, and I post a lot of really cool stuff, including stuff like this. I post all sorts of betting cheat sheets, my betting models, which, by the way, cashed out Green Bay minus 3.5, Green Bay money line, both top 5 bets of the week. I know you saw that in Tuesday's video, but I digress. If you want access to things like this in an aggregated feed, extra exclusives like 6 college football picks today, simply grab that link down below. It's the first link, tails.bet/DFS and Donuts picks. A lot of people sign up for me and they stick around for the Discord. They realize, oh my goodness, I have access to 15 plus channels. There are 10 cappers inside my Discord posting picks and parlays and sheets and betting models and write-ups and pick-em slips. I mean, literally, it's everything you could want for 10 plus sports. That link's right there. Use it if you'd like. Otherwise, just enjoy the free content. I don't care. But I think you'll like it if you're looking for a betting community or you want to be a part of mine. I'd love to have you. Let's get back to work. Giants and Cowboys. I'm keeping it simple. I know everybody's talking about Javonte Williams, but screw that, man. Screw that. Give me TD Lamb this week. That's right, TD Lamb. He's going to score a touchdown. I'm also slightly interested in George Pickens, but pass. I think it's CeeDee Lamb week. Now, we've seen in 9 games with Dak Prescott over the last 2 seasons, CeeDee rack up some tutties. Did not have one in week 1, but you know what he did have? 2 nasty drops. Talked about him multiple times in interviews, said he needs to do better for his team. He took it like a champ. I like CeeDee Lamb a lot. And I think he bounces back in a big way, similar to the Ravens this week, similar to Lamar and Derrick Henry in the red zone, Jamar Chase. Bounce back week. Don't be afraid to take these guys that did not score last week, especially when you're getting good odds. And you're going to give me plus odds for TD Lamb to score a tutty? I think he grabs one this week. I think he gets deep, goes over the top, and scores a big one. George Pickens' effect, helping draw defensive attention. I think it's perfect. He's also owned the Giants for several years now. Ain't nothing to be afraid of this week. Give me CD to score. All right, one more game here before I move into the 4 o'clock, and then 3 primetime games. This video is so fun to make every week. I love having you here watching, so I need to keep you around by breezing through some of these games. This is one of them. Rams, give me Kyren Williams for an anytime touchdown. Don't overthink it. He has 32 touchdowns in 29 games as the Rams starter. 32 touchdowns, 29 games. 7 of them through the air. He scores in a multitude of ways. Kyren, maybe the Rams money line, little parlay. I like it a lot. Next up, let's talk about the Broncos and the Colts. Multiple ways we could go with this one. Now, Daniel Jones was a vulture last week, but you know what he's not going to do this week? Take away a touchdown from Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor had 8 red zone carries last week, tied Christian McCaffrey for the most red zone carries on the week. You know, the 2 of them, they were 4 more than any other running back in the NFL. I expect both CMC and Jonathan Taylor to score this week. Courtland Sutton continues to score touchdowns. He's had 7 in the last 12 games with Bo Nix. Check this out. I'm going to bring up Courtland Sutton on my website. I can see all his markets, including total touchdowns, and I think we got a little bit of value here. Hear me out. I'm going to go to his receiving touchdowns, and you'll see last week he scored one. Let's look at last year. How did he do in the playoffs? He did not score, but check this out. I'll go to 2024, and you can see he scored 5 touchdowns in the final 8 games of the season. So 5 of the last 8 regular season, and then scores in week 1. So now we're 6 touchdowns in the last 9 games. And you know what I really like is the fact that when we look at his game logs from last year, he had 5+ catches to close out the season and to start this season in 10 of the last 11 games with Bo Nix. I think there's some value in an anytime touchdown spot for Courtland Sutton. J.K. Dobbins was one of my favorites last week. I spent a few minutes talking about him. Plus 144. His odds still aren't high enough for me. The odds are still long enough for me to be on it again. This is not a parlay. I'm just trying to highlight these plays. I like all 3. I think Jonathan Taylor is my favorite of the bunch. Next up would be Courtland Sutton, in fact, instead of J.K. Dobbins, despite the fact that J.K. keeps scoring. You know what? They really leaned on him in the second half because Bo Nix struggled to throw the football. This week, I think the pendulum swings back a little bit. And oh my goodness, we made it. Let me take a sip of coffee, get that caffeine boost, because we're going to talk about the Eagles, Chiefs, and the 3 primetime games. Good stuff. All right, let's get to it. I need to stop for a second, though. I have no clue how the Eagles and Chiefs are not the Sunday night football game. It makes no sense. This would be the most watched game of potentially the first few weeks of the season, or maybe even all the way until the playoffs. I mean, we are talking about a Super Bowl rematch in week 2 in Arrowhead, the team that lost the Super Bowl, who's 0-1 to start the season. Could they be 0-2 against the Eagles? Could they be 0-2 heading into week 3? I actually talked about that in the 1 game pick for all 16 games earlier this week. Make sure you go watch that video as well. If you're not catching on to the trend here, every video I make at least 1 pick for every game. I will always try to be a value to you and your betting experience every week. And by the way, Sunday morning, oh boy, we'll go full screen. Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern live show. You have to be there. It's a 2-hour event, and it's for the Degens. I do a ton of Q&A. I try to help people with their bets. I show you my projections and my game models. I give you extra picks, and we build way too many parlays. It's the best 2-hour show you'll see all week, and I hope to see you tomorrow. So grab your cell phone, Turn your alarm on 9 a.m. Eastern right here on YouTube. I think there's some interesting plays in this game for a touchdown. I'm a little concerned about the Chiefs. I actually have the Eagles winning this game, and partially because who the heck is going to be someone that Patrick Mahomes can throw the football to in the red zone? Everybody under the sun's going to double up on Travis Kelce. Is it Hollywood Brown, a guy who's never really been a touchdown guy? Rashee Rice is gone. Xavier Worthy is doubtful. I believe he's out with the shoulder dislocation. Juju Smith-Schuster's not a touchdown magnet. It's basically these long odds plays. It's Pacheco plus 189, Kareem Hunt quietly plus 260. And then down here, don't sleep on Patrick Mahomes to score a touchdown this week. I just want to paint a quick picture. My man drops back from the 6-7 yard line, or he rolls out off of like a play action. They're trying to throw it to the corner of the end zone. The linebacker drops back to try to double up and cover Kelce, and Mahomes, who's always sneaky with his athleticism and speed, decides, I'm going to tuck it and run it. He's running to the corner pylon. The linebacker comes up. So Mahomes does a fake toss like he does from like the 3. And the linebacker leaves his feet and he dives for the corner pylon on the right side. I mean, I could totally see this. I just tried to paint the image for you. He scored 3 or 4 touchdowns in the last 5 games last season as he was struggling to find people to get into the end zone. By the way, he had 6 carries for 57 yards and a rushing touchdown against the Chargers in week 1. Patrick Mahomes is a very sneaky touchdown play, just like Justin Fields was last week. That's what I think Mahomes is going to be for us this week. I don't put my feet to the fire for this one if it doesn't hit. It's a plus 400 for a reason, my friends. It's a low implied probability. These types of bets, whether I cover here when they're longer odds, they're worth maybe a sprinkle at best, but don't be selling a kidney or a car for this stuff. That's crazy talk. You got to bet responsibly. This video, this channel, entertainment and information, try to provide you all my analysis, research, and insight, but be smart with your money. I don't think enough people say that on YouTube. I want to be one that does. All right, 3 primetime games. Falcons on the road against the Vikings. I think this one's clear as day and what to do. I am a little concerned about the game flow here being sloppy, inefficient, stalled drives. You have 2 very inexperienced quarterbacks on primetime. Michael Penix Jr. continues to have these close games, and they keep losing them. J.J. McCarthy putting up 21 points in the 4th quarter after looking dead in the water all game. Very interesting. Showed off that high draft pedigree. And listen, he had 18 months of football rust to shake off. Hadn't seen any game action at any level since he had blown out his knee. Of course he was going to struggle for the first half. I don't like Justin Jefferson here at plus 107 as much as I liked him last week. I think we got him at like plus 130-ish. That was a fun cash. That was a fun one. Late game touchdown. Heroics. Bijan, I think, is just not getting what he's supposed to be getting, which is respect. Why is nobody respecting Bijan Robinson? And let me show you. I'm going to go to mysburyedge.com again. I'm going to type in Bijan. Brings up all his markets, all right? Check this out, my friends. It makes no sense to me. He had 6 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown last week. We go to the end of the season and we saw he was just absolutely going nuclear. Oh, but Michael Penix Jr., he might not run as well. He had 90 and 170 in the Penix Jr. starts last season. And look at how he closed out the year. The Giants game, Penix came in for half of the game. The Commanders in Carolina, he had 2 rushing touchdowns in both. That's 6 to close out the year with Penix. And he had 1 in week 1 this year. What are we doing here? How is he only a minus 142 on Novig? I love it. I'm not overthinking it. I think it's a fantastic play. By the way, Novig has a parlay boost over here. It says claim now, top left. Got to use that by 4 p.m. Hopefully you've seen the video in time. We got 2 games here. Monday Night Football. Bucks on the road against the Texans. Let's look at this one. And I think there are 2 plays in this one that are very interesting. I initially was going to run out Nico Collins because I love the plus 140, but I actually am starting to get concerned. I talked about this in Friday's 1-player prop for every game video with no running game threat. Joe Mixon's injured. Nick Chubb looks like a shell of himself. And who could blame him? That knee injury was catastrophic. I'm just happy to see him back on the field. But what you saw in week 1 from the Rams against the Texans is basically they just took the top off the offense. They said, go ahead, throw it underneath all game long, try to run it with your running backs. We don't care. And the Rams held them to 9 points. It was ugly. Nico Collins was a lock last year at 24, 25 and a half, longest reception. Do you guys remember that? This was him last year. 25 and a half longest reception prop. It cashed virtually every single week. It was awesome. We made so much money on this play. So I ran it again in week 1. and quickly realized I made a mistake because he only ended up with 5 targets, 1 target in the entire second half. So I'm concerned we're going to see that a lot this season. Now, can he catch a big post pattern and take it to the house and score like a 50-yarder? Absolutely. It's Nico Collins. Can he have a 10-yard red zone touchdown? Sure, of course. It's Nico Collins, one of the top 4 players in the NFL, futures market betting-wise before the season to finish the league with the most receiving yards. He can get over the top in a hurry, and he can make plays when he's got the ball in his hand. But I think the true value lies in Bucky Irving at plus odds. Are you joking? The only reason why Bucky was even like kind of a concern heading into the week 1, we weren't entirely sure if he was going to be the absolute alpha in the backfield. But you know what we saw? Almost an 80% snap rate. It was one of the highest in the NFL for starting running backs in week 1. So you're telling me a guy like Bucky Irving, who caught a touchdown in week 1, who had 18 touches in week 1, who had a receiving touchdown in the playoffs in 19 touches total, who closed out the season as the de facto starter and scored 5 touchdowns in the final 8 games. So basically, since becoming a starter, he has scored in 70% of the games. I don't understand it. At plus 111, I think it just oozes value. Mike Evans is going to get in the end zone sooner or later as well. I like him a lot at plus 145. I mean, the man had 14 touchdowns last season. He has had 8 plus, I believe, for like 7 of the last 8 years, double digits in 5 of them. And he did not score in week 1. The pendulum's going to swing back sooner or later. It could absolutely happen here. Mike Evans, Bucky Irving, plus odds, Monday Night Football. I'm really interested. I'm also interested in taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers money line or covering the spread at an alt line of plus 3.5. You give me the field goal and the hook, I'm actually interested a lot. That's a really interesting parlay in and of itself. And then maybe you look at this, you're like, all right, it's a defensive battle. We tease the total because that's one of the best ways to tease totals is when you take a low total, you tease it by a field goal. That's one of my favorite things to do. Heck, I just built a plus 1120 out of thin air. That's a really fun one. It's for Monday Night Football. I'll circle back to that. Hey, I do a live show on Monday, Thursday, and Sunday at 9 a.m. So hopefully I see you Sunday morning, but definitely come back Monday morning for the 2 games that we have for Monday night. We do a lot of stuff like what you just saw me do. Last but certainly not least, here's the deal, my friends. Brock Bowers, we don't know if he's going to play. We got to be mindful of that. That is worth a couple points in the spread, in my opinion. I don't know how this offense will hum along without him. He's such a threat. We saw him 5 catches, 100+ yards again last week. What else is new? Brock Powers. Has anybody ever used that nickname? I like it. Marion Hampton minus 110 is interesting to me. I think he's going to start scoring sooner or later. Man, did he look good. I know the stats didn't necessarily reflect like an insane game, but I think his upside's there. Ashton Jaunty ended up with like 20-something touches again. It was very inefficient. Minus 120, pass. You know where the value is, and I don't understand it at all. Maybe this is this week's Justin Fields plus 230 all over again. It's Keenan Allen. He scored a touchdown in week 1, his return with the Chargers. He looked great. He was my play of the week at over 37.5 on Friday Night Football and for receiving yards, and he cashed that in like the early second quarter, I think. I can't remember. But this is a guy who catches 7 to 8 touchdowns annually. He clearly retained the chemistry he had with Justin Herbert back in the day. And I think this is the type of spot that you see him score in. Primetime games, somewhere inside the red zone. He's not busting loose like Ladd McConkey can from anywhere on the field. He ran a fair amount of his snaps out of the slot, which was nice to see. And you're giving me a plus 230 for that? Thank you. I think this is a really fun one. And I think that's where it's going to end. I gave at least one for every game. Talked about player props, some game pick winners, some parlay ideas. If you want my actual exclusives, because I talk about a lot on these shows. If you want what is the best of the best, I posted my 4 favorite player props for the week, a touchdown parlay, and if you've been under a rock and didn't know, I post an official SGP for every single primetime game. I've cashed 3 of the 5 games, and one of my staff cashed a plus 1,300 for the other. So if you were in my Discord, out of the 5 primetime games, you've cashed an official parlay for 4 of the 5. You can only access that stuff, VIP link right there. It's the first link down below. And hey, if you like my betting website that you saw me using today for the tools, I didn't even show it off, but it does have betting optimizers, projection models for the games and players. That's the second link down below, mysparryedge.com. Regardless, thank you so much for being here, for supporting my channel, for watching, hopefully dropping a comment. Tell me who your favorite person is to score a touchdown, or at least hitting that like button before you leave the show. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And hopefully I see you Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. Turn your alarms on. 9 a.m. Eastern, Sunday morning, 2-hour live show. Let's get paid.